Hi, everyone. It is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur here, coming at you tonight. It's June 10th, and it is a Friday, and that means that we are on episode number 7 of the Master Topic series for the week. Welcome to all of you that are joining us for the first time. And if you are joining us for the first time, you're going to notice the QR code in the top right of your screen. Just take your phone and use it to scan that QR code. It'll direct you over to my link tree with lots of great information, videos, to help you become a better version of yourself and help other people become better versions of themselves as well that you care about. And so every single week, we have a master topic that starts Saturday, which is tomorrow, and it ends on Friday, which is today. And all great information. And you may need to watch them a couple times. And I try to give you some great nuggets in these videos to help you understand life a little better. And we invite you to be part of our live where you can come in and comment. And sometimes I even do bring people up on stage. So I do that as well for a quick comment. Anyway, thank you so much for popping in. And if you're coming back, well, welcome back, my friends, colleagues, and associates. It's so wonderful to have you here. And with that, I want to just tell you that hopefully the new people will become loyal, just like you guys have been coming for all this time. I'm very grateful for all that. And so, what is that master topic? In case you were wondering and you weren't here the other day, well, how to is actually how to see the trees and not just the forest. All right, this is really really cool. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, when we look at a problem or a challenge, we sometimes are tunnel visioned and we only see a tree or another tree or two trees, but we don't see the whole forest, or we just see the whole forest and we don't see the individual problem. And so what happens is we get pigeonholed and we're not able to make a change or choice because everything looks fine to us, but really it needs to be changed. However, because we're looking at it and we're so emotionally drawn to it, we're not able to realize that something should be changed or corrected, etc. So that's another great way to make sure that you see the trees and see the entire forest is to emotionally detach yourself from something. So what's a great way to do that? Well, one good way to do that is to realize that whatever you're working on, just give it very little attention. And if that's hard for you to do, you can actually close your eyes and you could think about the image of what you're seeing. And now maybe change the modality of it, the attributes. Maybe make it black and white, make it smaller. Okay. And as you do that, you're going to start to notice that you are going to become detached from it. And that's a really good thing. Now, this is a really important gem that I've been teaching you guys this week is that a lot of people believe that they know everything. I don't know everything. And I think we're always learning. But people that believe they know everything are destined for failure because things are always evolving. I had something the other day, and you guys know I'm an engineer and I know lots about different things, but there was something new. It was a new type of robotics that I had never worked with before. I understood the general concept, but I took the initiative to learn about this new type of robotics. And I was glad I did because when I did what I needed to do, I even told the people, look, I'm not an expert in this, but I seem to know more than anybody that was there. When you have a natural desire to want to learn something, and you have something to attach it to. See, this is the whole important thing. If we think about a foundation and you're building this house or structure or what have you, you can't build from the roof. Well, you can't. You have to start with the foundation, whether it's a foundation, whether it's cinder blocks, whether it's spread footings, whether it's pilings. You got to start with a foundation. When you have a solid foundation, you're able to build upon that. Okay. Whether that's going to be, for example, if it's going to be 2x4s or whatever you're going to put, and then you build from that, and then you start to frame out your structure. And as that happens, then you have things like you put your windows in. You have well, first you put your wire. You have your windows in, then you do your wiring. You do your rough wiring first. And so when this happens, you kind of go through a certain flow. Now, what happens to a lot of people is they say, gee, I want to learn about robotics. Well, more power to you. But when they go to learn about robotics, they're like, I don't know, like, How do I learn robotics? Because they go in front of somebody and they start saying, well, here's how the servo motor works, and here's how it connects us, and then the perceptions come in. Like, huh? What's he talking about? Instead of trying to find out what that person understands, maybe that person liked to play with remote control cars. And if they did, I might say, gee, you remember when you played with remote control cars? You remember how you had that little remote and you'd press the button on the original ones, and then they would kind of like, basically they'd go forward or backward. But if you held it down, it would go backward. If you let it up, it would go forward. Then you had more sophisticated ones, which would let you have more of a control where you could go forward, sideways, back, right? You could do all those things. And so when you did that, the electronics had to be more sophisticated, and then you had different motors. Well, servo motors are basically motors that can move in different directions. And that's what are in a lot of robots. We call them servo motors. But, the thing about it is that you have to understand something. So there's efficiency, there's resource, there's leaders. So a servo motor, it's a rotary actuator or a linear actuator that allows for precision control of an angular or linear position. Therefore, we would use them in things like robotics because we need to be able to have that type of control. And so when you are trying to learn robotics, and now you understand that we can compare it to something, and I can latch that experience you had and then give you something new and put that together, like, oh, I get it. So the servo motor in the robot acts similar to the one that was in the cart. You got it. And so instead of using your remote control to control this, we can use remote control, but we can also use software. But what we do is we put sensors in the robot, which then are able to gather information about its environment. Now, it sees the environment, and then we have to translate that information so it knows what to do with that information, because it sees the whole world as basically data. It doesn't know what that data is. We have to tell it what that data is, and we have to give it rules. Now, a lot of robots that you might be familiar with today use AI. They learn that if they can't do something one way and they fall, well, they get back up and they realize, okay, can't do it that way. And so it learns. Now, if you didn't understand the concept of what a robot was, or how what a servo motor was, or how robots take programming, right? They might say, John, I know what you're talking about. Well, have you ever played a video game before, right? And you stuck a cartridge in there. All right, well, let's keep it really simple. On that cartridge, okay, or floppy disk or program you downloaded, there is a program which is instructions that tells the computer what to do, such as where to position the cursor, if there's sounds, what to prompt the user for, things like that. And so now that you have this understanding, it's very easy for you to figure it out. Now, I want to take a digress for a moment, but really not too far back. And it's something I think you guys are going to all appreciate. There's a gentleman by the name of Thomas Edison. I'm sure you all remember Thomas Edison. Does everybody not remember Thomas Edison? Right? Thomas Edison, right? And he was a famous inventor, right? And so Thomas Edison was an inventor. Everybody know what Thomas Edison invented? Invented what? What did he invent? Well, he was the man who invented the incandescent light bulb, right? What else did Edison invent? What else did he invent? Who wants to take a guess? The automatic telegraph. Yep, he invented the automatic telegraph. He also invented the carbon telephone transmitter. He invented that. He invented the light bulb. We talked about that. The phonograph, which was basically a device that when you put it down on these vinyl records, it would be able to read the different, let's say, markings on the record and translate that into sound. Okay. And the movie camera, the viewer camera. So we had a lot of, I guess he had a lot of things, but what's he most known with? So Edison's Edison's top inventions. What do you think his top inventions were? You had to name his top inventions right now. What were his top inventions? Well, the most famous and interesting invention that he had was the incandescent light bulb, the phonograph, and the motion picture camera. The motion picture camera, I should say. As well as he improved the telegraph and telephone utilities. Now, when you think about him, so he did the phonograph, he did the durable light bulb, which had 40 hours, which was huge back then, the electrical vote recorder, quadruplex, sextuplex, and multiplex telegraph, carbon microphone, electricity distribution system, the first commercial fluoroscope for X-ray examinations, and yes, the original stock ticker. All right. So we all know him and we know a little about what he did, but he has a very interesting space in my heart. And here's why. He had this great quote which always sticks with me. And his quote is, and I'm going to read it, "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success." Let me say that again. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success. See, the only difference between success and failure and giving up, because you haven't failed unless you quit, is that successful people just hang on a little bit more. They persevere a little more. And many times people are so close and they give up. So again, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success, how close they were to finish what the race or to finish their goal, how close they were to the finish line when they just turned their back and said, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Now, I think a lot of people in life actually cause us to become irritated, frustrated. So we have to realize that other people are not the key to our life. We have to realize that if we want to go after something, then we need to go do it. And if we don't do that, we're a fool. We're a fool. So many people are close to success and they get tired. And they just don't hang on. And then they get frustrated. And they don't know what to do. And they figure, well, I've been trying this long enough, I'm just going to give up. And then they quit. And the rude awakening is that they're sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, this close to success. Maybe one more, two more iterations, and they would have had it. But human beings are impatient sometimes. They want everything now. Everything now. So a perfect example of us looking at the trees in the forest is to realize that when something seems impossible, we have to break it down. If you said to me, John, you know, a mountain is impossible to climb. It's so big. Well, a mountain's not impossible. A mountain is nothing more than little small mountains all pieced together. You might say, John, this journey is so long. That's right. But every journey starts with just one step. And when we put a whole series of steps together, we eventually will complete our journey. But why don't people think like this? Very simple. Because they don't see the trees in the entire forest. They just see the tree. Any person that's ever achieved success will tell you it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I don't care whether it's an Olympic athlete, whether it's myself, like a serial entrepreneur. They will tell you that there were a lot of trials and tribulations, but it was worth it. It was worth it. And I would do it again and again and again. So I only have one question for you. What's the difference then to make somebody realize that success is worth the journey? I guess we could compare it to things that were invented, like the light bulb, right? And you might say, John, you know, they spent so long with the light bulb. And what Thomas Edison would say to you, I didn't just find one way to get the light to work. I found 999 ways for which it would not work. So whether you're in business, whether you're just trying to achieve a personal goal or a relationship goal, you could find the ways that don't work and then be, okay, let me tweak something. When we have that spirit of play, it just makes life fun. And the challenge becomes something that we really get motivated by instead of being frustrated by. A lot of people say, oh, gee, I can't do it. I can't hit the ball. I can't do this. I can't do that. All right. But let's look at the fact of what you can do. You can hold the bat. You can do this. You can figure out that electricity goes through these wires. You can do these things. Great. Let's work with what you can do. And then let's work on what it is we need to figure out. Because that's the way Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. He invented a lot of things that way. And a lot of famous inventors were like that. But none of them really shared with you the fact that it took them so long. They were embarrassed. They didn't want to say that. But really, that's the best thing, is to learn it took them that long. I once knew this dog. Okay, and the dog was over a friend of mine's house. And we were there. And the dog basically just opened the door, went right out and got the newspaper. I said, gee, what a smart dog. And he said to me, oh, you wouldn't have thought he was such a smart dog a few weeks ago. I said, well, why? He said, if you were here a couple weeks ago, you would have saw my dog just barking and trying to open up the knob and like biting at it and just really getting frustrated. And what happened? One day, the door opened, and then he went outside. So I think this is a lesson tonight that at first you don't succeed. You need to keep trying again until you do succeed. Because if you're that passionate, I don't care whether it's making $1 million, whether it's writing a book, whatever it is, if you are that passionate about doing something in your life, go do it. And don't let anybody else stop you. Because regret is never a recipe for success. All right? So this entire week we've talked a lot about the trees. We talked a lot about the forest. And we talked a lot about the fact that many people just get tunnel visioned. Because that's all they know. And the other reason they get tunnel visioned is they don't want to admit that they're wrong. Or they don't want to admit that they need help. But you know, some of the greatest things in our country were not built by one man alone. They were built by teams. So when we work together as a team, we can do great things. We can do good things when we're on our own, but when we work together as a team, we can do grand things, really grand things, when the mission is clear and the purpose is there. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I've had a wonderful week with you guys. I'll be back tomorrow, which is going to be June 11th, and we'll talk more about our next master topic. You'll have to wait for tomorrow for that. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. You know, it has been an amazing privilege, a pleasure, and, of course, an honor to be with you this entire week as well as this evening. I encourage you to like, support, love the channel. Go ahead and, yes, comment below. Are you starting to understand now what I mean by seeing the trees, seeing the forest, and looking at them together as a whole, and then being able to step back in a lot of different things you do in life? And if you can't figure out how to do that, then get someone else to give you feedback. It'll get you to look at the coin another way, or the situation another way. Like, I never thought of it like that. And that's how many of our greatest inventions have actually happened, by just some friendly commentary back and forth, some suggestions, some opinions. And of course, go ahead and tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. And then be sure to go below my video on YouTube. Just go to John space E space M-O-R-L-E-Y space serial entrepreneur and look for the key phrase, help keep our content free. and then make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a glass of water, a slice of watermelon, a sandwich, a slice of pizza, what have you. And we'll invest those pennies and dollars into new hardware, new technology, new software, new equipment, new facilities, and even new staff to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational content to get you looking at not only the entire forest, but each individual tree, as each one has its own specific attribute. And when we tie them all together, we truly get success. That's why whenever you meet with somebody and there's a group of 10 or 12 people, that group cannot be successful unless every person in that group contributes to the group. Because otherwise, there might be something that you missed because somebody didn't share their opinion. And that opinion might be the difference of having a successful invention or one that might be a flop burster. Have yourself a great rest of your night. I hope that you've enjoyed this entire week about how to see the trees at a forest and how to see them respectively together and individually, and how that can make an amazing difference in your life. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.